as we've heard, the Governor's address sets out the government's agenda for its entire term, as well as some of its immediate priorities. In this context, it's worthwhile revisiting the role of the Tasmanian Legislative Council, us here in this place, as outlined on page 3 of the Legislative Council Annual Report 2019-2020 as follows, I quote, "The Legislative Council, as the upper house of the Parliament of Tasmania, can be described as democratic with an independent character. The role of the Council is threefold. 1. To authorise the raising of revenue and the expenditure of state monies. 2. To examine the merits of legislation. And 3. To provide a parliamentary check on the government of the day. In modern times, the role of the Legislative Council has expanded from the base of being a purely legislative body to a house that involves itself in the examination and analysis of actions, decisions and workings of the executive government." Let me just repeat that third point, in case any of us here missed it, or perhaps in case the Premier might be listening at some point to this contribution. 3. To provide a parliamentary check on the government of the day. It's literally in our handbook. Madam Deputy President, this chamber is well within its established remit, as outlined in the annual report, to critique, examine and deliberate upon the government's priorities and actions. This includes the actions not taken in the context of achieving good public policy outcomes on behalf of the electorates that we represent and the broader Tasmanian community. The House of Review does not need to be limited to merely marking off a checklist of government election commitments or other action and busy lists. In this context, on behalf of our constituents, we have the right and, in fact, the responsibility to evaluate any policy shortcomings and identify refinements. It is the responsibility of our chamber and every member here to play a role in delivering the Tasmanian community with confidence in the governance of this state.